Hi! In today's video, the most hated K-dramas. And it's not necessarily about dramas that are bad, average, low-rated, failures. It's about productions that evoke negative emotions in some viewers at the very thought of them. I want to emphasize that this is not my opinion, but the result of statistics. So please don't wish me getting hit by a car while crossing the street if your favorite drama ends up on this list. I guess the list itself won't be a surprise to you because the more popular something is, the more haters it has. Sometimes even just because it's popular. But let's try to get to the bottom of why these K-dramas get so much hate. Let's start with Hierarchy, because why not? A title that was supposed to give us drama, intrigue, and a bit of an elite school full of secrets, but what we received, it's difficult to put into words. A drama with absolutely zero sensible plot threads, focusing on revenge, I guess? Because the main problem is that throughout the series, no one really knows what's going on. Especially since the characters changed their motivations faster than I changed my mind about which episode will be my last when watching a good drama. And then you're hit with absurd character choices, a total lack of genuine emotion in the acting, and plot twists that aren't twists at all. It's like we grabbed something from another drama and dropped it in here. But that's only part of the reasons why people hate Hierarchy. The main accusation is, of course, that the writers probably gave up halfway through and said, let it be. Remember when they promised a dark thriller about revenge in an elite school? Instead, we got a drama about a bunch of spoiled rich kids acting out because they have parental issues. And it doesn't stop there. We also got a generous dose of toxic relationships, romance without any spark, and a season finale that is the most disappointing ending of the year. Seriously, where was the promised revenge? It turns out the ones who suffer the most in this drama are the abusers. They're down in the dumps because their parents don't love them. So maybe knocking out the teeth of scholarship students wasn't the worst they could have done? Well, I don't know. Maybe it was. So if you combine the lack of tension, dramatically flat characters, and an ending that leaves you unsatisfied, you end up with a real mess. Why do people watch this? I don't know, though I have a guess. But if you happen to be one of those viewers who enjoyed the show, feel free to share your opinion. Another drama that let viewers down? Love Next Door. Because here's the paradox. If a drama is only sweet and light, people would complain that it's boring and has no plot. But if you add a ton of drama, toxic relationships, and absurd plot twists, it suddenly turns out that the creators went too far and the whole thing is unwatchable. Of course, Love Next Door went for the latter route. It started innocently enough, like a classic charming childhood friends to lover story. But the further it went, the more toxic, frustrating, and simply tiring it became. The main character? Indecisive, running away from problems and behaving like a teenager even though she's 34 years old. The mothers of the characters? Manipulative, nosy, status-seeking. The relationships? So over the top, it feels like a parody of a chaotic telenovela. Love Next Door has its fans, but there's a large portion of viewers who dropped it because it couldn't be treated as either a good production or even as a guilty pleasure. What could have been a great rom-com or a perfectly fine drama turns into a mishmash of irritating characters, artificial conflicts, and relationships that, instead of stirring emotions, just wear you out. You can say it has its own vibe or that you can have a laugh, but many simply find it annoying. How many times can you watch characters you don't even know what they want along with mothers treating their kids like trophies? And that's pretty much it. Ask a random critic of Love Next Door why they didn't like it and you'll hear, it was fine at first, but then it was just cringy. In a similar position is My Demon. At first, it looked quite promising, but after a few episodes, everything started to fall apart. Instead of intriguing characters, we got irritating protagonists. The main female lead, despite her success, makes decisions that are simply absurd, and Song Kang, who was meant to play a menacing demon, fails to deliver. Instead of a dark and dangerous character, he ends up portraying someone who seems more like a sweet boy than a fearsome demon. And as for the chemistry of the leads, well, the tension was probably only in the script because on screen, the long gazes looked more like waiting for a bus than great love. The plot is also a chaotic mess. Storylines get mixed up and some seem to be added just for the sake of it. The inserts with the psychopath, which were supposed to heighten the drama, don't actually add anything valuable and rather become irritating. The ending of the series also didn't receive positive feedback. Many people say that it didn't provide a satisfying resolution to the main plotline, and instead of surprising, it's simply disappointed. Although My Demon still has its fans, many consider the series nothing more than wasted potential. However, you gave a much shorter explanation for your dislike of Queen of Tears. People seem to dislike this drama because it's too ridiculous. Expanding on this definition, it mainly concerns the implausibility of the main plotlines and relationships. Supposedly, we have a marriage, but the characters don't know each other at all. The relationship is nothing more than a string of misfortunes that gradually go from dramatic to simply grotesque. Instead of development, we get more tragedies that only widen the hole in the story. And of course, the ending. It's hard to say whether it was supposed to be moving or just wrap up the story as quickly as possible, because emotionally, it didn't resonate at all. Is this something new in K-dramas? Absolutely not. But Queen of Tears was so hyped up that you would expect something better. Because what's the point of having great actors if the script and characters are so flat that the whole drama, well, falls apart? By the way, if you stuck with me this far, it probably means you enjoy this kind of content. So go ahead and hit that thumbs up button because it really helps. And if you want more analysis, rants, and generally talking about dramas, it's also worth clicking subscribe. I won't say you'll miss out on something because the algorithm will do what it wants anyway, but you know, there's always a chance it will suggest another video to you. Okay, enough talking. Let's get back to the list because more titles are waiting for their share of criticism. Now for the big fish, which despite huge expectations and a cosmic budget, couldn't escape criticism. When A Star's Gossip was supposed to be a big hit, but reality turned out to be less kind. Despite impressive effects and a star-studded cast, the series failed to live up to the hopes placed in it. The characters and their relationships? Stiff and without character. Definitely not something that viewers bought. Awkward plot choices and forced romances, especially with ex-partners as if they couldn't have been single from the start. The dialogues are straight from some random K-drama cliche generator, and the scenes that were supposed to be moving only caused bewilderment. The production looks like an ambitious project where the budget went into everything except a decent script. The lack of a sensible story repels a large portion of viewers, almost as much as people are repelled by Goblin. This is a tough one. Some love this drama for its beautiful cinematography, costumes, and aura of romance, while others criticize it for its drawn-out plot, lack of chemistry between the main characters, and the awkward age gap. The beginning promises a lot, an intriguing story and a fantastic bromance between the Goblin and the Grim Reaper, but as the story unfolds, it loses its cohesion and the characters become less believable. Additionally, the choice of a young actress for the role of the Goblin's bride sparked controversy. Despite her talent, the age difference between the characters was distasteful, even after the time skip. Some viewers consider the main characters' relationship exaggerated and artificial, and the dramaturgy pretentious. Thus, for many people, Goblin remains a drama that attracts with its aesthetics and cult status, but not necessarily with its substance. But what if I told you that Nevertheless is even more disliked? Probably nothing because Goblin still has its fans, while Nevertheless is one of those dramas that regularly appears on lists for the biggest disappointments. Generally, it didn't seem too bad, but with each episode, the series only raised more doubts. The main female character is a total helpless fish out of water with questionable choices. Her relationship with the male lead, intended to be romantic, quickly devolves into a toxic mess full of misunderstandings and endless complications that, instead of drawing you in, just wear you out. On top of that, the plot's monotony makes the series increasingly uninteresting. A toxic guy and bed scenes, that's all that happens here. The whole thing had potential, but crashed due to ill-conceived plot decisions and chaotic storytelling. The pace was sluggish, and subsequent episodes, instead of engaging the viewer, only tired them out. All of this makes Nevertheless end up as one of the more disappointing experiences. Public opinion on Love Alarm won't surprise anyone. Boring, predictable, theoretically engaging, but with as much emotion as a calculator. The first season, despite its flaws, had a kernel of something, a fresh idea for love in the age of technology. But then came the second season and, well, the rest is a story of painful disappointment. Many viewers felt cheated, and the love story, which was supposed to be the main asset, turned into a festival of toxic relationship and absurd character decisions. People were furious after the second season, and Love Alarm quickly gained the label of one of the worst K-dramas of recent years. Fans had to come to terms with the fact that the series didn't develop as expected, and the theme of love in the world of technology ended in a dud. Although the series attracted a large group of viewers who hoped for improvement, ultimately even they knew that it wasn't the same as in the beginning. It would also be worth mentioning such awful creations as Goodbye Earth, Zombieverse, Longing for You, Racket Sonya-dan, Chicken Nugget, and so on. Well, the answer here is probably simple. These are boring, bland productions that disappointed viewers' expectations. Goodbye Earth was a chaotic mess, Zombieverse disappointed with its artificiality and predictability, and Chicken Nugget is the result of some bizarre experiment that completely failed. Everything was made without heart and passion, which is perfectly evident in the tragic ratings on IMDb. Alright, that was quite a bit of criticism, but if you're in the mood for something more positive and want to see some truly inspiring female characters, then definitely check out my latest video, all about strong women in K-dramas. I think after all those disappointments, a good dose of girl power might be just what you need. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one!